good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Adobe Live, here live from Munich. We are hosting the European sessions today. Hopefully you saw already the great session with the two other presenters on graphic design before and everything we had already. I'm here with Matthias.
Yeah,
Hey,
hello,
good to see
welcome
you.
everybody watching live and in the chat. My name is Matthias Cilia. I'm a motion designer from Austria. And yeah, I'm super happy and excited to be here today. It's the first time for me being part of Mac, so also a very special experience for myself. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to presenting you all the good stuff from After Effects today.
Yeah, and just by the way, when you say After Effects, the session title in some places said Substance 3D, which will be a part of the session, but we'll be focusing on After Effects. This is one session of many, many, many we have during this Adobe Max. So yeah, we talk about After Effects and Substance 3D, and then our colleague Tim will talk about Firefly and all things generative AI. And then there's so many more also happening tomorrow. Alrighty, let's get into it. I mean,
Yeah, let's
maybe you
go.
talk a little bit about your work and what you do when you're not sitting here on a live stream.
Yeah, I'm super excited to presenting the two new features as they're almost like part of my daily workflow. As a motion designer, I'll talk about today about the new Rotobrush, the next gen Rotobrush 3D, free next gen, and it's powered by AI. So it makes it possible to mask out like very difficult moving things like overlapping limbs, transparent backgrounds, like fuzzy things like hair and stuff. And the
All
other
the things
part,
that took days to do before.
yeah,
with
exactly.
Like manual rotoscoping each and every single frame and stuff.
Exactly. That's what rotoscoping is actually from. It's like super old. Like the first rotoscoping is like from 1915 or so. And it's super awesome that this technology is still evolving today. So yeah, really looking forward to look into it. And the other part will be true workspace in After Effects. So also very excited to be talking about that, as I'm also 2D and 3D in motion design. So really cool to close that gap, to use 3D directly in After Effects using Substance materials, Adobe standard materials directly in it, and also using environment lighting. For those of you who use 3D, you may be familiar with it. I'll go into detail later. Very nice features.
Nice. And to everybody out there watching us, it's not just only us two talking. You can take part by adding your comments, asking any questions in the chat. You can either ask them on wherever you are, on the Adobe Max side, on Behance, or on YouTube directly. So just put in any questions. We have a team of folks who can answer them, and we'll also answer them here live while we're talking.
Looking forward. And also drop where you're watching from. I would love to know where everybody from the world, maybe Europe, maybe Asia, maybe LA, good morning. And yeah, drop us in the comments. And should we dive into it? I think time is running fast.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's jump right into After Effects. So if you're wondering why you can use the new feature, make sure I'm in the newest version of After Effects 2024. It lately dropped, so download that. And here I'm going to show you firstly the Rotobrush feature. I've downloaded this footage of a dancer in front of a background. And if you want to follow, it's a free stock footage from Adobe Online Stock. So just go online, Google Adobe Stock, go for the free footage, Google Dancer, and you can follow along if you want. So I just imported it, usually drag it in, make a new comp, and set the new in and out point. So I know exactly where I want to focus on this feature. And to go into Rotobrush, you have to select the layer, double click on it, so you get in the layer panel here. It's very important. In the composition panel, you won't see that. So go in there. Then up here, you have the Rotobrush tool. Select that. And now when you go into the effects control, when I paint something, you see the new Rotobrush 3.0 is appearing. And right off the bat, you see I painted from the middle. And that's also a very important point. Your first starting point should be a point where the subject is wholly in front of the camera, like you can
totally
see
in frame and not like outside. Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you might scrub a bit forward, backward to see, okay, where's a good starting point. So the engine knows exactly where to start.
The thing needs to know where everything is and how many hands we have in the frame and so on.
Exactly.
To know what's part of the object you want to track.
Exactly. And as you saw, I started from the middle. That's also very important. Don't start from the edge. as I'm masking it out now. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a selection that I can use later as a matte or mask for like removing a background, adding another background, or like some graphical element. So I just started here and I see right here, not everything is selected. So I just keep brushing. And as I keep brushing, you see there's some stuff selected that I don't want here. So a little shortcut for you, if you hold Option on Mac, I think it's Alt on PC, you get a minus icon. So if you then paint over here, it deselects the areas that I don't want. But then again, here's some stuff that I want here. I paint over it. And all the time I can change while pressing Command and the left mouse button. I can drag it to make it bigger, make it smaller, depending on which part of the footage I'm currently working. So I'm just painting here, creating a first selection. So After Effects knows the starting point on which it creates the propagation for my footage. Okay, and you see right after it's super fast and super snappy, because if you're used to Rotobrush, I used it a lot. It's kind of tricky sometimes, so it detects the silhouettes, the limbs, and now it's super fast and super snappy, and I love it. So yeah, if you used it before, then you probably know what I mean.
And by the way, just under the hood, it's a completely new AI model. So the teams trained it with so much stuff to learn even better. And like that's the third iteration of Rotobrush. So each iteration got better, each by developing and then training a new model. And as you say, like this model is really good in like these fine details, all these little things that were already good in the previous version, but now it's really, really well done, and it saves you so much time.
Really next level, yeah. With the AI, it detects like where's limbs, and then we see it now here because I have the first selection, and now I have to tell After Effects, okay, play it and make the selection automatically for me. So I could scrub through each frame by hand if I wanted to. That was like my progress actually before. But the cool thing now is that if I hit spacebar, it super accurately detects the subject. And even now, if you see it, it moves the limbs inside it, detects it again. Also these little like holes between like her arms. It's doing an amazing job. And just in a few seconds, got a super nice selection.
Awesome. How much time would this be manually?
Wow, really long. Like
An
2
hour,
hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe more. And also like these little details. But sometimes I think I saw one here. Yeah. Sometimes the AI gets like a little bit confused and get like some little holes, but that's like super detailed stuff. That's you go through that again and fixed it. And now you got super nice selection silhouette. And now to give you a better view of what's selected actually here, because now you just see like a magenta outline. If you click here, you can switch over to the matte view, and you can see everything that is white is now selected. That will be visible. Everything that's black will be transparent. So, and you can switch through different modes. Here you get the outline mode where you can see where the outline is. You can also change the color. So maybe you're working on a magenta background. So maybe you want to change that to something green or so. And also here you can have like a solid overlay where you can see which color in the background would look like. For example, if you would compare in front of a sky, you would maybe pull here a blue, and then you would instantly see like where are the edges maybe not so good working, and make some refinements here.
So always to choose a color that's a contrast to your scene. Sure.
Yeah, and also maybe what your future scene will be. So if I know I want to cut it out and put you in front of like sky, maybe put the blue background already here so you know how it will look in the edges. So maybe if something is not perfect, but it doesn't matter on the blue background, you can just leave it there. And yeah, so now we got a like super nice basic selection. And what's also cool here is when you go to the Refine Edge tool, because when you look here at the hair, I mean, the edges work pretty great for stuff like cloth, very clear edges. But when you come to like edges like hair, grass, something like that, it's like really, really rough. it doesn't really do a good job just with this tool. And there you can use the refine edge tool, where you can tell it, okay, let's look at that edge again and see if you can do it better. And right off the bat, you can see it creates like a little preview. I think it's also very similar to the Photoshop one, where you can refine the edge of your selections or masks. And also just painting right, just don't think about it too much. It's super accurate. And then hit render again. And then maybe with that one, I want to pause at some point where it's too much in the face. I zoom in, maybe paint that out again. Hit enter again. And creates me a super fast selection of the hair.
And then it basically have a second look on this particular area and like draws, like gives another level of attention to it for anything like fuzzy, like hair, some type of clothing, as you said, grass, stuff like that.
Exactly. And then you can also, if you preview it in the matte view, you can see, okay, now it's like a really nice fudgy edge. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that so far. So I scrubbed it through again, let it calculate. And once you're happy with your selection, it's really important to hit here on the freeze button, because when you make changes, it has to calculate again and again and again. It's often beginners get a little bit confused why it's working again. So once you're happy, just hit freeze and it calculates it, and then it's fixed. We still have some controls here on the side that we can still adjust when it's fixed, but just when you're ready, freeze it, and then maybe go later into it if you detect some edges that you didn't like. But that takes too long for me now. I've prepared like a comp where we can look into. And here, when I froze it, like here, I have the layer with the Rotobrush. And it's frozen, and now we see the footage is masked. So we have her separated from the background. And we can also use it like not to select her entirely. We can also use it like to show only a shirt, for example, or a car, or just the windshield of a car. So it's not like whole objects, everything you want to mask out in moving frame. It's super convenient to use that.
Great.
Okay.
So yeah, you saw it's pretty fast. It's pretty accurate, especially like in the fine details we talked about. And yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We have, I think, 2 mysteries to clear up already. One is that Tim is in Munich, as are we. We're streaming live here, and he's sitting stage left, which is exactly in this direction. I don't know if that's 5 feet. It's probably 1.5 meters or maybe 2. But yeah, here he is. He needs to come. Yes, here he is. All right.
Yeah, cool.
Back to you.
And so, okay, now fine, we have a selection. But what do we do with it? So it's like, basic idea is to replace the background, for example. Drop, we have some footage here, and maybe drop like another room here. So now she's like, scale it down. And now she's in another room, for example, or in front of a beach, or whatever you want. But I also want to show you like a more artistic approach, where you can use like textures or create a collage style and overlays. And I have a little something prepared for you today.
And just what you can do, just by the way, if you have a transparent background, you could even go into Firefly and create something in text to image or with generative fill, and then put it as a static background into this composition, and then have her in front.
Yeah, just to give you an idea what's possible here, I just used her as a matte for like a texture. These are just some stills I grabbed from Adobe stock, put them in a pre-comp, cut them together, overlaid them. Here I'm just using like this pre-comp here. So the animated texture, just a few layers, and use her as a matte. The body, the selection as a matte. Then you can see really nice results very quickly. Great for like music videos or like online content, or you can place her in like a collage or whatever you want. Or maybe the cool thing here as well is if we take here we can subtract, for example, if you want to use the same background. You don't want to change it, you want to use the same background, and maybe put a on the side or something. As you can see, okay, now it doesn't really work, but if I subtract her from the background, I'm creating a mask. And if I invert the mask, let's have a look. Here, okay, thanks. And go to content aware fill. I can, for example, use that cutout and create a generative fill. And now it's creating me like a mask background with her not in front. So I can move her around and place her in a new position. And I think, is it calculating?
In the meantime, we have some questions.
Yes.
I mean, like, first one is a comment from Nolan. That's awesome. I was wondering about fuzzy edges like that, even with like fingers and can be blurry and so on. So it might work for that too, which is exactly, I think, what we've seen. Like, it exactly works for stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Super easy. And yeah.
And
we also have a comment of that this kind of eliminates the need for a green screen in some cases.
In some cases, yes. In some, maybe not. Maybe if you have lots of footage, it's easier to have a green. But I also used it on a recent project where I used kind of both. The key didn't really work as there were lots of reflections on the subject. Also, he was wearing a helmet. And it was a full person green screen, so there was lots of spill. And therefore, I used the Rotobrush. So maybe it's not really replacing, maybe, but another way to just go on to mask it. Yeah.
So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. I mean, even like in this setting, we have a green screen behind us. And like if I look into the preview, I see like sometimes it spills a little bit on the face. So in cases where you like, you don't have the space, maybe then for this kind of stuff, you scrap the green screen and do it like that instead.
Exactly, yeah. And maybe I have here a more extreme example of a lady with some really fuzzy hair, with some wind, really cool scenery. Usually masking that by hand would be like almost impossible, I think. But now let's have a try with the Rotobrush. So let's go into it. I see time is running super fast, so I'll go just quickly over it. Maybe to show you how fast you can make like first super easy selections, just painting over it, having like a base selection, switching to the refine tool, make it a little bigger, and now telling it all that fuzzy edges. Try to calculate that for me. Okay, now.
Another question is, while it's thinking, is there any, like, how long can the clip be to get a nice result? Or like, does it matter, or it's just like longer clip, more thinking?
It doesn't really matter, but usually I don't clip like, if I have a 20-second clip, I don't clip everything. I just figure out beforehand, okay, what is used in the edit, what part of the shot is only used. So I just have to calculate the spot. But I think in theory, you can use super long clips. But then again, you maybe want to cut it out or maybe cut it in parts. So if you have a nice selection of the first part, you can freeze it, go on to the next part, and don't run into the problem if you maybe adjust it later and it propagates again. You maybe run into some new recalculations of something you did before. And so maybe if you have a super long clip, better way to cut it out.
Perfect. In this example, the client wants more than 5 minutes, always more than 5 minutes to be rotobrushed. Crying. I love that. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, now you see just a few minutes. Super cool what selection you get here. You get the super fine details here in the hair, almost like in real time. And also later, I didn't mention that already, you can have here some adjustments like smoothing it a little bit or feathering, contrasting, shifting the edge, like putting it in, putting it out, and just play around with these settings. But there's nothing like fixed setting that works for every footage. Just have to get a feeling for it, like maybe here, feathering there, feathering here. So just play around. And these are the settings you can still use when it's freezed. So freeze it and then maybe shift the edge a bit. And yeah,
cool.
And as you can see, in just a few minutes, we also have a Super nice rotoscope. Also just like a preview with a nice little texture in the background.
Awesome.
Works super cool.
Nice.
All right, yeah, that's Rotobrush. So
cool.
AI powered, super cool. Limb overlapping, something very important for me. So we're looking forward to using it in the future. And
cool.
now,
so go update After Effects and go and use Rotobrush 3. And quoting Ross here in the chat, anything that improves rotoscoping is a good thing. And with that,
amen, Ross.
What's next?
Okay, next feature is the true 3D workspace in After Effects. It's not officially in the newest build, so I'm still using the beta. But if you want to follow it, it's just go into Creative Cloud, download the beta for yourself, follow along. It's real cool to use it. So let's jump right into it. 3D.
And you can always install the beta app separately to your other installations. You can have, in this case, After Effects, the release version like Matthias has, plus the beta, and they won't interfere. So the beta stuff has no effect on your production version. So obviously, like anything production, you do on the release build, but then to try out new stuff like we do now, we have the beta. Same for Premiere Pro, Photoshop, and almost all others.
Exactly. And now to give you a little glimpse of what we're going, or at least a few steps we're trying to create, this little 3D clip of a nice little sneaker. And it's really cool because now you can use all your great Substance stuff in 3D, because beforehand you had Substance Painter, Modeler, where you can really create high-end models and textures. But then you had to go into like another party plugin or program like Cinema 4D, Blender, Maya, you call it. And now that's like the last part of my pipeline that gets closed now, is I can use After Effects that I use with all my other motion graphics designs, can use that seamlessly in my workflow. So I can add my motion graphics, add my textures directly in it, and it's really true 3D. So the objects are interacting. You have like you see here, real-time shadows from the environment light, and yeah, super cool. But best thing, I'll show you how you do it. So
the chat agrees, by the way, that it's awesome.
Nice.
It looks great.
Super cool, thanks. So like any other footage, you just grab your 3D file, and After Effects supports OBJ, GLB, and GLTF. It's recommended to use GLBs because that's a file format where also the textures are integrated into the model. So like OBJs have like a separate MTL file and textures that then get projected onto the model, where After Effects has to import the textures. So it's kind of like additional problem source. So if you can stick to GLB, that's just the sneaker is actually a nice model from the Substance store. I have the Substance subscription, but there are also lots of super cool free 3D models. I just downloaded it, put it in Stager, and added some nice free and pre-built materials. So I did actually almost nothing. I just put it on, changed the parameters. It's super cool with the Substance materials. If you're familiar with it, you can change colors, like structures, and yeah, super cool. Try it out. I just exported the model, and then I can just drag and drop it into here and can create a new composition. And right off the bat, you get like a window how it's interpreted. It's like, if you know the interpret footage option with like video files, etc., you can tell After Effects, okay, how big is the model? How it's interpreted is maybe flip the Z-axis. For example, I think Blender or other 3D programs have like different interpretations of where is C, where is Y. So just basic stuff like that you can manipulate here. And that is also, if you use that object more times in the composition, it would change everywhere. So like interpret footage, if you interpret a different frame rate, it changes everywhere. So if you scale it here, it scales in every composition, but that's just the starting point. So for me, it looks fine. Click OK. And now I have like a real 3D model in my 3D workspace.
In cool. After Effects.
Super cool.
This is super cool.
And now you can see here, like you got your familiar After Effects gizmo. You can rotate it, you can transform it, and also can click here and you see like the edge where you can scale it with shift or not shift. You can scale it, put it wherever you want. And one little tip, I mean, you could use like the camera tools with C, skipping through the camera tools, or you just press Option, and then with the 3 mouse buttons, you have like all the tools available. Like here, I'm clicking and pressing the left one to orbit, the middle one to like pan around, and the right button to zoom in. So get familiar with that, so it's much easier to look around in the 3D space. Yeah, and now I want to fill the scene with some more footage. I have here some concrete cube, just throw it in, scale it up. And now you can see how it's really interacting. So it's really 3D. So when you see it, it overlaps here. It's not just like two 2D planes overlapping. It's really the geometry in the 3D space overlapping. And here, just a little note. When you put 2 3D objects over each other, you see here, there's like a little rectangle over the 2 3D icons. That gives us the signal that it's a bin. So the bin means these two can interact with each other. As soon as I put like an adjustment layer over it, you see like the bin is gone, and now they can't interact with each other because it's not. Okay, I'll show you here. I'll move it down. It's always in the front because it's overlaying in the layer panel, overlaying the concrete block, so it's always on top. So just bear in mind if you have run into like problems where, hey, why is my models not integrating, and just a little tip here. So, but move it back up. Okay, cool. And like every other object, I can duplicate it, maybe move it around, create like a little podium. Zoom out, duplicate again, put it down. And now it doesn't really look super nice right now. That's because one of the real big parts of 3D is lighting. A high quality model, really nice quality textures, and lighting are, in my opinion, one of the most important steps in 3D. So let's add some lighting. And there's a super cool new feature. If we go here, layer, new, light, we can create an environment light. It's like only one light source, but it simulates like an environment, like a sphere with a texture on it that can project light onto the scene and simulate like real environments like a studio, but also maybe outside. But I'll show you in a minute what's that exactly about if you don't know about it. If you know 3D, you probably know the term HDI images or dome lights. It's exactly that. So I've got a texture here of such an HDRI image. It's like a 3D or like a 360-degree image of like a studio. And we can use this image to like light the scene. To give you an idea how this looks, I'll just put it in a new composition and just throw an environment over it and create a new camera. Just to give a fast idea. Okay, let's orbit around. So it's like a 3D 360-degree image of a room. And we can use that to light the scene.
And that's the sphere you mentioned. It's super abstract in a way. So like it's a photo, but it's basically a ball, and we are inside the ball.
Exactly.
Looking at the model that now sits in this virtual studio.
Exactly. And use the lights as for reflections, for lighting, and it's really cool to match lighting also. For example, if you're into VFX and make a shot on set and maybe want to add some like 3D elements in space, you can make like your own HDRs with the Substance Suite. Create some photos of all the angles, bring it in the Substance, create your own HDR, and then use it with the footage and your 3D stuff to integrate it way more. So you get the same reflections, the same lighting from set. So super cool feature. And as we can see now, if I drop it in, I don't have to have it visible here. I drop the drop-down menu here. And here on the source, think I'm in the wrong. Oh, I put the pre-comp here. I don't want to use the pre-comp. That only works if you have like a HDR image. Also PNGs or so don't work yet. So if you want to use PNGs, convert it in Photoshop to HDRs, import it, and there you go. So we can use that.
People are already super excited for the final render.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I don't think we'll make the whole thing, but just to give you a glimpse of what's possible here, that's everything I used. I just used like environment light, the Adobe assets, and nothing more. So, okay, now, so right off the bat here, we have our super cool lighting. And right now I'm using Draft 3D. That's like a faster way to move around in space, so it doesn't have to calculate like all the perfect shadows and edges. And
so a little rough, but faster.
Exactly. But if I want to like work on imagery, like really compositing, like the final image, I can turn it off. And if I want to dial in really nice into the render settings, go in there, increase the samples, increase the shadow box size, lots of nerdy stuff if you're into it, and really works super nice. And as you can see, the draft mode is super snappy. So it's great for working in progress. And yeah, now we have the lighting, and we can also like turn it, like find a nice angle that we like. Maybe like give a nice edge light here. And we can also animate that. So it's like your usual After Effects workflow. Also here, we can like take the position, maybe the rotation. Let's check out which one it is. Like the rotation, go a few frames forward, put like up, rotate it. And you can change also the like the gizmo modes if you're like in local mode, like where is the shoe pointing or where's the world pointing. Also really practical if you want to like move it up, but not like the up from the shoe. And now you have like a super nice keyframe of the shoe animating as I did here in the preview. It's nothing, no magic, just true 3D.
It's no magic, but it is kind of magic.
Yeah. And here I also just animated the light in the beginning. I just animated the intensity, made it rotate a bit, moved the shoe up, down, added some graphics, super nice stuff, some textures. And also what I like to do is like, you can also use other lights in additional to the environment light, like edge light. You can use spotlight where you can light from behind or something to give it a bit more of an accent or something. So it works together. So the other lights aren't gone. It's just the environment light is like the next step into real 3D. And yeah, and also you can, like before, because now we are like in the standard camera, like our perspective view, but we haven't told After Effects actually where to look through. So we can like a new camera and make like a bit more compressed, like it did in the video, 80 millimeters. And what I did was a nice little tip for creating like this orbiting camera move. It's like like to parent my camera onto a 3D now. I have to make it 3D. And now as I change the view to top, maybe zoom out a bit. So that's just I changed the view here. And here I have lots of different view options. That's just a temporary view, so you can see, okay, is it nicely placed in the room, or where are my other objects? And I can always switch back here, but I'm just using the top view to see like, okay, what's the null doing? So if I got it parented and I just rotate it, you can see the camera is always moving in a nice circular movement, which is otherwise with position keyframes really difficult with shapes and curves when moving. So really nice tip. And you can go back here, and here you will see it in real time. Like if I rotate it, you get a nice little tilt around. And here you can also like scale the null. It doesn't actually scale the camera, but it moves it in the middle. Like really nice to make like some zoom effects, and it's also like I did here.
By the way, people want to know,
yes,
because it looked all nice and easy, this video, but how long did it take you? The whole thing from start to finish?
like texturing was super easy. Texturing was like 10 minutes. Animating, it's not super difficult. I mean, difficult is like I was more tinkering with like the look. That's where I always get lost. But like only the animation, like with having the shoe move up and rotating the camera, that's took like an hour or so. So that's, you can get really easy, nice result fast, and use it for also other things. You don't have to use it like for a product demo. You can use it like, if you have time, I quickly show you like cameras tracked footage. With here, I used like a HDR image that was similar to like a desert. So when you move through it, where is it? Here, you can get like deserty reflections, and it looks nice. Here, just track the camera 3D in After Effects. Look it up if you want to see some tutorials about that. Dropped it in, super nice, fast and easy titles in your 3D footage. Or maybe you want to do something more abstract with some text. Here I just extruded text directly in After Effects, so it's still editable live. Let's add some T, or change the font size. So it's super cool and very versatile. So you don't have it like super realistic stuff. You can use it for VFX, product promos, abstract motion design. So super cool that you don't have to go outside of After Effects and use it all inside the program. Yes.
We have a couple more minutes for any questions you might have. I also see our lovely Adobe team being in the Adobe Max chat, answering questions. Shout out to Victoria Nice, who actually built the stuff as a product manager for After Effects. Thanks so much for taking these questions. Way better than we could possibly do ourselves. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, nice. Really nice job. So I'm super happy to be using it inside here. Just a few more previews of what we did here.
And again, because this question also came up from where the shoe was coming, and you talked about the substance marketplace for both assets and objects and textures. There's free stuff in there, and in the beginning we already mentioned the Adobe Stock collection. Adobe Stock has millions of assets, and some of them are free. So if you want, if you need some stuff to get started quickly, you can always come here and try out things. You can even like use Adobe Stock audio for your videos to have the right soundtrack. So there's lots of stuff here.
Okay, perfect. I think we're done now. Time is running out.
Time's running. I see the time running. It's almost a bit harsh. We have 2 more minutes actually, so I'm looking for any questions. Someone's keyboard was destroyed. That's terrible. And laptops are overheating. That's all not good.
And also shout out that's not really a super high-end workstation. It's like my mobile laptop.
Yeah, it's like the small.
It's like a 13-inch Apple one. So if that can do it, your tower at home or maybe your workstation at home will with ease handle the new 3D stuff. And that's also really nice to get like used to 3D if you're maybe a bit scared getting into 3D stuff. Now that you have it directly inside of After Effects, maybe that step is a little bit easier for you. Just drag some objects in, try it out, rotate around, animate it, have some good time. And yeah, maybe shout out to me if you create some stuff. Let me know. Would love to see it.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. Again, and also Victoria, thanks for mentioning it. As a reminder, the 3D stuff we talked about is in the current After Effects beta that you can install separately to your release build. The Rotobrush 3 that we saw, that's in the current release. So go to your Creative Cloud desktop app, go check it out and benefit from all the goodness, the new AI model for Rotobrush. And yeah, we saw how awesome it is.
Yeah, nice. It was really great to be here, so to show you all the good stuff. And I'm really looking forward to using it in the future. And thanks a lot for having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to all the other sessions here at Max. So,
all right. Speaking of, the next session will be our lovely colleague Tim Möbis, who will talk about Firefly and all things generative AI, and then we'll go over to our colleagues in the US, continuing to host live from the event. And then tomorrow we'll also be here for the European streams with brand building and talking about photography, Photoshop, and Lightroom, and then Illustrator as well. So with that, have fun with the next session. enjoy Max, whether you're at the event or online, and keep creating cool stuff. See you then.
Bye, guys.